Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, as always, kitchen. Today we're gonna do some baking, and today I thought we would, much like I mentioned 2 days ago, because I put the video out for dinner a day early, and for that I kind of apologize, only because I said it was Wednesday, and I don't know what I was thinking. But anyhow, today we're going to make a king cake cupcakes, like I had mentioned in that video, and these are an absolutely awesome cupcake. I've already made them once. To try them out, and I thought we liked them so much here that everybody actually got mad when I took the rest of them to work for people to try, and then the people at work got mad because I didn't make more. So I thought, well, let's make some more, right? Because I think you'll enjoy this this recipe also, and it's not hard. It is 3 different steps. You got 3 different parts to them. You've got the cinnamon cupcake itself. You've got a cinnamon cream whip icing that goes in the center of that. And then you've got a cream cheese icing that goes on top of that with some sprinkles. Everybody likes sprinkles, right? You know, and the king cake cupcake comes like from the, and I said this yesterday in the dinner video, at the end of the dinner video, it comes from the king cake, which is a cake that is made, I'm sure it's made all year round somewhere, but it's predominantly made for Mardi Gras, which is this big, huge celebration / party down in the South. And in New Orleans, to be specific, and it's a week-long celebration that ends with Fat Tuesday. I think it's Fat Tuesday it ends with, or maybe it begins with Fat Tuesday. I don't know. I've never been to Mardi Gras. We'll go someday though. It's not very. I mean, it's kind of kid-friendly, but not really. It's because there's just a whole lot of adult partying going on. But anyhow, it's a good time. They have a parade. You know, lots of floats, people dressed up in vibrant costumes, awesome stuff. So this cupcake is a representation of that cake. The only difference between this cake is we are putting in the center the icing versus they put a baby in the actual cake, like a little toy baby. And if you find that, it's supposed to bring you luck and prosperity all year long. These are too small to do something like that. Plus, I don't want anybody to choke on something. So that being said, if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you. If you one of my recent subscribers, thank you very much. I'm glad you came to the neighborhood. If you are new, I hope you get something out of this video and you check out some of my other videos and maybe consider joining our neighborhood by subscribing. Our neighborhood is just basically trying to be good neighbors through food. All things food. That's all we do here, is all things food. In the process, you know, I'm kind of documenting my life for an on-site social experiment that I talk about in a video a couple years back. To see how many generations I can be remembered after I'm gone. I'll never know, but it'll be neat to see. All right, that being said, like, share, subscribe. You know, sharing's important. Comment, please. You know, feel free to comment. Just be nice. You know, that helps. All that helps get us out in the algorithm of YouTube and helps us grow our channel. All right, enough of the spiel. Let's jump down here to the counter. I will give you all your measurements in cups, ounces, or cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, or grams. That way everybody can play along no matter where you are, because depending on where you are, depends on how you measure things. So let's get down to the counter and get started. Okay, we are down here at the countertop, and for this you will need some kind of mixer, whether it's a hand mixer. I suppose you could just use a bowl and a whisk, but man, that'd be a lot of work. I'm using my stand mixer. If you are using a stand mixer, paddle attachment. And I got my recipe right here beside me. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to put, in our bowl, we're going to put some flour. And I've got 3 1/4 cups, 390 grams of just regular old all-purpose flour. You know, nothing special, just the standard, use it for everything flour. And to this, I'm going to add 2 cups, which is 400 grams of just regular granulated sugar. Same stuff you put in your coffee or your cereal. I'm going to add 2½ teaspoons or 10 grams of baking powder. And we're going to put that in there. Or I heard somebody call it the other day, floof powder, which I thought was great. And it's a leavener. It helps things rise. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. I'm using kosher salt. If you're using a coarse kosher salt, might I recommend that you grind it up a little bit? If you don't, inevitably somebody will end up with a piece of salt in their mouth where it didn't quite get where it needs to be. So what we're going to do with that is I'm just going to literally turn this on low, or if you're using a hand mixer, just grab a whisk and go ahead and whisk it together. That way we get this mixed up a little bit, right? All right, we got that mixed up a little bit. So then the next thing we're going to add is we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons, 3 grams of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, plain old regular cinnamon. And I'm going to incorporate that real quick. I should have put it in before I started spinning it, but I got sidetracked even though I had it sitting right here with the other stuff. Now that we got that mixed up in there, we're going to turn that off real quick. We don't have to scrape anything or anything like that, as we haven't had any batter in here or we haven't made a batter yet. I'm going to give that a good quick stir. Just make sure we got that cinnamon in there. So the next thing we're going to need, get it?
Yeah,
all right, is 3/4 cup, a stick and a half of unsalted butter, which is wrote it down. Where's that? 174 grams. We're going to put this in there and make sure it's room temperature, right? You don't want it to be cold. Yeah, it has to be room temperature. You want it soft so it breaks apart and incorporates easy. And we're going to mix this until it pretty much looks like fine grained sand, or cornmeal. That way we know the butter has coated all of the flour, the flour mix, the dry mix. Okay, so we're down to a fine cornmeal, or grain sand. And I'll show you here real quick what I'm talking about. Set the paddle down. And see how in there, I know it kind of looks like flour, but it's a little coarser. And that just means that butter is all over all of that stuff. And it literally does look like play sand. So now that we got that mixed, next thing we need to do, next thing on the agenda, I've got 1.25 cups of whole milk, which I did not write down what the milliliters are for, so you will see it right here, right about now. And to that, I am going to add 1.5 teaspoons, 6 grams of pure vanilla extract. I'm going to put that in the milk instead of putting it in here separate from the milk. And just give that a good stir, get it mixed up. That way you got vanilla flavored milk. You could probably drink it right just like that. Your milk should be at room temperature. All right, so all your dairy, your butter, your milk, and then we're going to incorporate eggs here in a little bit. And we want those to be at room temperature. So I'm going to turn this on low, on like 2, stir. And I'm going to start slowly incorporating my milk. And we're going to let this run until it's combined, until it's mixed. Okay, so we've got that mixed. Next thing we're going to do is I've got 4 large eggs right here. Right here. They're 50 grams each, so we'll call that 200 grams. We're going to leave our mixer on low. All right, I turned mine off, but hey, you can just go ahead and leave it on. And then I'm going to put these eggs in, just like we're making a cheesecake. We're going to put them in one at a time until they're incorporated. All right, we got all 4 eggs in there. Put them in one at a time. So we're going to take our spatula, because we are done with all the ingredients for the cake portion. All right? So go ahead and get this out. That looks so good. Get our thing out of there. We're just going to give this a good stir, like such. And that's it for the batter. So now what we got to do is fill the cupcakes up, the cupcake cups up. Let me get this all straightened up, get the cupcake cups out, and we'll move to that step. Okay, got the mixer put up. Things kind of straightened up a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So here's how I fill my cupcakes. I got this recipe makes 24 cupcakes. So here's my first batch of 12. I won't bore you by filling up all 24 in front of you, but I want to show you how I do it. Now you're going to want to fill these up about 2/3, 3/4 full. I have found if you have a scale, the best way in the world to do them. To prepare these, I know you're saying to prepare them, you just stick that in there. You're right, sort of. I spray these down with a non-stick spray to help when you take the paper off the cupcake, it doesn't really stick or tear or leave a whole lot of residue. And I take my scale and I scoop out 60 milligrams or 60 grams into the paper, just like such. It's 60-ish grams. I mean, 59, 60, 61, you know, whatever. And then that way I know they're all equal. You want them to be equal. All right, so then I just stick it in the pan like that. And I move on to the next one. Fill it up to 60 grams. And hopefully, I know I mentioned it this time, which I very rarely remember to do. You should have your oven should already be preheated to 350 degrees. The importance of doing it in the beginning isn't so much because you don't want your batter to sit out or anything like that. It's because you want that to cycle a couple times before, get hot and then cool down, get hot and cool down, before you actually go and put anything in it. You should always do that. All right, well, I'm going to get the rest of these filled up, and then when I come back, we'll get them in the oven and talk about how long to bake them for, what to look for. Okay, so we got them all full, 58 to 60 grams each. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly tap these on the counter. All right, just like that. So let's go ahead and get these in the oven real quick. Moving on over here, and we're going to put them on the middle rack, right? And as I before stated for the third time now, 350 degrees. I'll set them in here front to back, side by side. But then when you put them in here in your oven like this, make sure you got an inch or two of space in between. And we're going to bake these for 20 to 22 minutes. I mean, it's really going to just depend on your oven, right? Some ovens run a little warm, some run a little cold. I know from the last time I did mine, it was 20 minutes, but I checked them at 18 minutes just to be safe. And you'll toothpick test them. At the 10-minute mark, I'll go ahead and get in there, and I'm going to take those cupcakes, pull them out, and turn them around. Right? We're going to take the pan, and we're going to rotate it like that, halfway through. So that may take 22 minutes because you've had the door open for a minute. That way, we know we get even baking. Not all ovens bake evenly. The older the oven, usually you get hot spots. You just get hot spots. You can get hot spots. Your oven may not be exactly tuned to 350 degrees either. So I'm going to go ahead and get these baked. And then when I come back, we'll take them out of the oven, talk about what to do next. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, our timer is going off. Go ahead and get that turned off. Come down here to the counter real quick so we can kind of see what's going on. I'll get those out of the oven. And, sorry. Bring you back up there as they're steadily just sitting there and cook like I don't want them to. Or bake, as the case may be. Go ahead and get these out of the oven. What I'm going to learn to not stick my face in there. There is that. And that one. So we still got a toothpick test them. So all I'm going to do is take my toothpick. We'll put it in the center of this one. Pull it out. Give it a look. See how it's just got a little bit of crumb on it? That's okay. That's good. There's no batter. That's what we're looking for, is batter. So we'll go ahead and put that one in, pull it out. Also, just a little piece of crumb, no batter. That's what we're looking for. So what are we going to do now? We are going to leave these bad boys just sit here and cool down for about 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes is up, we're going to take them and put them on a rack and let them cool completely. So once these, I get them out of the pan and we get them onto the rack and they're cooling completely, we'll go ahead and start making the first of two fillings the filling for this, and then get them filled. All right, be right back. All right, we've let our cupcakes cool down to as cool as they're going to get. So the next step we got to do before we make that cinnamon filling is I'm going to take a melon baller. If you just need, what we need to do is we need to put a hole in this, in the center of it. So I just take my melon baller and pop it out and keep the center. Now the cool thing about the center is you can eat the center, but we're just gonna pop out the center just like that, about halfway down, and then that way we have some place to put our filling. Okay, so we've got all our holes put in the tops of our cupcakes, and they don't have to be perfect. They can be sloppy because we're going to cover the tops of the cupcakes anyhow with cream cheese filling, cream cheese icing. So the next thing we need to do is get our stand mixer back out, and we're going to make some whipped topping. Now, with whipped topping, you need everything, if possible, as cold as possible. And you want to make sure your bowl is clean, very clean, no oil or dust or anything, because if there's even a little bit of like oil in the air from where you fried something, it will cause a hindrance in your whip topping. It won't rise as well. You know, get all that air in it. So the first thing we need to do is I've got excuse me, a half a teaspoon, 1 gram of cinnamon. And I've got a 1/4 cup, 50 grams of sugar, just regular all-purpose granulated sugar. We're going to mix those two together. We want to do it now versus trying to get it, put the sugar in, and then add the cinnamon separate with the whipped topping. It will want to float. Where if we put it in the sugar and get it all mixed up, like such, yeah, so you're like making a really light cinnamon sugar or a sugar cinnamon. And then we're going to put this in our bowl, right? Just like that. And then we need 1/3 cup, which is I think 60 or 66 milliliters. I've got it written down. Hold on one second. I had that in the fridge, my heavy cream. It is 1/3 cup, 66 milliliters, 66 grams of heavy cream. We're going to put that in there, just like such. And excuse me, get in front of me here. I want to make sure I get all that heavy cream out. Now, I mean, if you're making a bunch of these, you could double this recipe easy. But this will be enough to fill the 24 cupcakes that we did. When I made them the last time, the only other time I've made these, when I kind of did a test run on them to see how they would go. The only thing I ran shy on, which I think was my fault, was the actual cream cheese filling. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this and get it going to soft peaks, where then we'll add our vanilla. Okay, so we're at what would be considered soft peaks. And a soft peak, I want to try to show you real quick. I don't know how well it'll work. I should be able to dip this in there and see how that just kind of falls over. Sorry, I didn't realize how low I was to it. But see how that doesn't hold really. If I turn that right side up, it just flops over. That's soft peaks. So we go ahead and turn this back on low, like such, and we'll put in our vanilla, which is 1/2 teaspoon or just 2 grams. And we're going to run that for a second, get it incorporated, and then while that's beating, as they're getting it up to high, to stiff peak, I've got cream cheese, 4 ounces of room temperature or softened cream cheese. See how it's soft? I can switch it. And we're going to put those in one chunk at a time. While we're beating this, it's 4 ounces worth. I've cubed it up. It's 1/2 block. I've cubed it up, and I'm just going to drop them in one at a time, and then we'll just keep whipping this bad boy on high. Well, I'll take it up to high, and we're going to whip this on high until we got a nice smooth whipped topping. All right. We have got that nice and whipped up. And I'm here to tell you, you can't go wrong with this icing. It is really just delicious. Delicious. It's not even really an icing. It's more of a cream filling, I guess. So we'll go ahead and get that. Get our beater out of the way there. And we'll give it a quick stir. You want to give it a scrape and a stir as you're doing this also, just to make sure you're getting everything. Mixers, whether you have a stand mixer or you're using a hand mixer, have a tendency to get dead spots, you know, even in your bowl that you're using. So you want to, you know, occasionally just scrape your bowl, mix it up. You know, it's okay to, you know, stop it as often as you need to, really, in order to do that. All right, let me get this mixer out of the way real quick, and we'll start putting this inside our cupcakes. Hold on for me a second. Okay, now that I got everything straightened up, it would be a lot easier if I just had like 2 mixers or 2 mixing bowls, but I broke my other mixing bowl. It was glass. So now all we got to do is we're just going to simply take this filling, a little bit at a time, and we're just going to put it inside there, just like that. I mean, and it's okay, like I said, it's okay if you get messy with it, because it's going to get covered with the cream cheese frosting. So just fill these holes up, just like this. You know, make sure you get it in there good. You know, you want lots of that filling in there. All right, get these last 2 filled up. And see, they're not perfect. They're not, you know, they're smeared and whatnot, and that's all right. You know, because like I said, we're about ready to cover these with a luscious cream cheese icing, you know, which I think will be amazing. Like that. All right. Oop, I just broke a cupcake. It's all right, though. You know why? I can eat part of it, and we're about to cover it with icing. That's okay. That's all right. It's not like these are going out for competition or to sell, so to speak. Now, let's talk about that real quick. See how some of these muffin topped over, kind of hanging over the edge? And there's a reason for that, and I didn't think about it until after I pulled them out. So those look like that because it really depends on the size of the cupcake thing you use. The cupcake holder, the paper. When I made these the last time, I used a little bigger paper. So it was 60 grams. With these particular papers, because they're a little smaller, I should have gone with 55. Some of these, like this one here, which is just ideal, that's only got like 56 grams of batter in it, and it came out okay, where some of these had 61, 62. I wasn't real equal with it. I should have been. So now I know when I have gold ones just like these two that are they're same size. I'll put 55, 56 in them. That way they don't muffin top over like that and we don't have breakage. But that's all right. I'm not, like I said, it's not like these are out for resale or they're going to a competition or anything like that. We're making these to eat, right? So let me get this cleared up, get cleaned up, and then we'll make our cream cheese icing and we'll be well on our way to eating one. All right, be right back. Okay, got everything cleaned up. Now we're down to the last thing we have to make, and it's the cream cheese frosting, right? So let me shut this cabinet door so I don't whack my head. I've got, excuse me, 8 ounces, 1 block of softened room temperature cream cheese. I've got 6 tablespoons or 84 grams of softened unsalted butter, and we're gonna throw that in here. Get it all off the plate there. And we're just going to cream this up so it's nice and smooth. And it may take 3 or 4 minutes, but you do want to make sure that your cream cheese is softened. If it's not, you'll have clumps. And we don't want clumps and lumps. We want a nice smooth frosting. So let me go ahead and let this run for a couple minutes and then we'll move on to the next step. All right. Got that nice and creamed. Silky smooth. Now, much like everything else, we want to take a minute and scrape in between, make sure everything's going good, hit the dead spots, things like that. We're going to give that a nice good once through, make sure we are where we need to be, no white streaks, the butter and the cream cheese are proper. Then the next thing we're going to need is 4 cups, 500 grams of powdered sugar, confectioner sugar, and you want to sift it. Okay, so that means you either want to run it through a strainer or a sifter. I have a sifter, and I use it. So we're going to start incorporating this next, but we only want to do it 1 cup at a time. All right, so we got 4 cups in here. Although once you sift it, it gets fluffy, so it may take 5 times with your measuring cup. but you want to mix it in one at a time, so we don't overwork it, and we ensure it all gets incorporated. We don't have a clump of powdered sugar in there. Start it on slow until everything's incorporated, or you will have a face full of powdered sugar. Okay, so we got our 4 cups of sugar in there. Go ahead and give our bowl a scrape. Now, I scraped in between. Every time I put a new thing of powdered sugar in, I scraped. That way, you know, because you're going to get powdered sugar stuck to the sides and all that stuff. You want to make sure it all gets in there, right? I mean, you don't want to waste anything if need be. So this is the very last ingredient. It's just some 2 tablespoons, 8 grams of vanilla extract. I'll put that in there. And then we're going to go ahead and get that incorporated so, you know, it's nice and even and no streaks. And then after that, we can move on to icing our cupcakes. Okay, so we got the icing all done. I went ahead and put it in a piping bag. And now we're just going to take it and we're going to decorate the tops of our cupcakes just like such. It's the, I think it's called a star tip. So mine's a Pampered Chef tip. But I mean, you can use whatever you have or whatever you prefer. And I'm not the world's best icer like this. I mean, you don't have to do this at all. For that matter, you could just put slather it with some icing on the top, throw some sprinkles on it. There were quite a few like that. I just think this looked nicer when we did it the last time. But I should say the first time, the only other time. So I'm going to go ahead and get these iced real quick. Then we can put some sprinkles on it and try them. So we got them iced. This time around, I didn't have 4. I had enough icing that I only was 2 short. Last time I was 4 short. I'm getting better, and I know what it is. Some of it is because Sarah wants to yell and scream at the stairs, making it echo everywhere. But the other reason is I'm just getting too much icing on the first few I do. So it's quite all right, you know. Now the world knows that you like to yell at the steps. And so now all we got left to do with the ones that we got iced, although I'm here to tell you, much like the last time, the ones without the icing on them will still get eaten because they're delicious. I'm going to take some yellow sprinkles, and we're just going to do, you know, roughly a third. It doesn't have to be perfect of each cupcake. Okay, we got the yellow on there. And now we're going to do roughly a third of it green. It's okay if it overlaps. So the 3 main colors for Mardi Gras seem to be green, yellow, and purple. So that's the 3 colors we're using here to sprinkle with. You know, and I mean, you don't have to, I mean, I can't imagine that you would have to use a specific green or a specific yellow or purple or what. You know, you do what looks best for what you think. But I'm here to tell you, these will be awesome for like a Mardi Gras party. You know, in my opinion, you know, if you wanted to throw a Mardi Gras party and you didn't want to make king cake, say like you had a bunch of people coming over, boom, this would work just as well. I mean, it gives you 24 cupcakes to go with some food, you know, that you can have, or hors d'oeuvres, or, you know, whatever you are deciding to serve at. I really wish I knew some more authentic, you know, New Orleans style Mardi Gras type dishes, but unfortunately I don't. Cajun cooking was just never something that I put into my wheelhouse a whole lot, other than gumbo, you know, and things like that. But for the most part, you know, you guys know what I know: gumbo and king cake cupcakes. Okay, and for the last color is purple. Get that on there. Then once I get the purple on all these, we'll take a quick look at them. I mean, not that you can't see them now. We'll get a close-up shot of them, and then that way we can try one. And I'm here to tell you, I guarantee these are just the best cupcake you've ever had. All right, I got them all set now. I'm gonna put them in the fridge so that way the icing will firm back up. If you ever find out your icing's just a little too loose, all you have to do is put it in the fridge and it'll firm up. That butter will start to firm up and so will the cream cheese. But there, ladies and gentlemen, is our Mardi Gras cupcakes, our king cake cupcakes. And I think they look fabulous. Matter of fact, I think they look fabulous enough that we should try one right now. What do you think? What do you think? I think we should. So, let's go ahead and we'll take one of the smaller ones for right this moment. And like I said, if you want to avoid the unevenness of the cupcake, as far as size goes, you would be best to just go between 55 and 60 grams. So, and you should be okay. Don't go any higher than that. And guess what I did? This one has 2 wrappers. I don't know how I did that, but I did. So we'll get the one wrapper off, then we'll get the other wrapper off. That's quite incredible. And dun, dun, dun. But there you have them. And I know just from sitting here snacking on the centers that we pulled out earlier, they are quite tender and delicious. Spot on. And of course the lighting is really bright, but right there is our center filling covered with the cream cheese top. And the combination of the 3 is just crazy. And this cake, the cupcake itself, is so moist. I mean, so moist. The last ones I made, the very first batch I ever made, a couple weeks back, those cupcakes I kept refrigerated. I actually kept them out in the garage, boxed up because it was cold outside, much like it is today. And they stayed fresh for 4 days, 5 days, 5 days. So I know these will stay fresh for up to 5 days. And you want to refrigerate them. The cream cheese icings, you want to keep refrigerated. So they'll be good for at least 5 days, I know, in the fridge if they even last that long. I would imagine that you can make the cupcakes up ahead of time without the icing, stick them in the freezer, and they would last about a month or so. I know most cakes do, so that's always a possibility if you need to do it that way. But you really need to try these. They are, they're to die for. And that's the truth. Sorry. Give this recipe a try. It's not that hard a recipe. It does have a few steps. But I guarantee you, you'll be like, oh, this was so worth it. So worth it. And they were good enough that my family got mad when I took the rest of them to work. When the people at work were mad when there weren't any more to eat. To the point where these are actually, most of these are going to go to work. So that way, that I can, hopefully get some free forgiveness for not having more the last time. So, let me know if you do try these. You won't be disappointed, I guarantee it. And you'll make friends throughout the neighborhood if you give them a try. Give them a try and hand some out. They'll be like, it's the most amazing baker ever. How did you make these? I need the recipe. That's okay to give out the recipe. Recipes were made to be shared. Hands down. Even if I make somebody a pie, you've probably seen the recipe. If I make somebody a cake, you've probably seen the recipe. Some of them I alter over time just to, tweak it here and there to things I like. But for the most part, recipes were made to be shared. They give it away. Give it to everybody. Let everybody try it. It's food. It's made to be shared. But anyhow, enough of that spiel. Next week, no idea what we're cooking for dinner. No idea what we're baking. But I'll have an idea for you come next Wednesday and Thursday. So, until next week when we meet again for dinner, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really, with all sincerity. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make them feel so much better. It's going to make you feel a whole lot better telling them. Make some cupcakes and share them with them. it's going to start a conversation like no other. I guarantee it. So till next Wednesday for dinner, I love you. I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye.